Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be on Sam's Billet 20B. If people that follow us on the socials probably would have seen we had a yellow RX3 with a 20B engine for sale, the Turbo 400. Sam decided he wants to go billet and basically wants a bulletproof combination. So the cast 20B that originally was in my race car, geez, was it 2000, maybe 2002, 2003. So it's been in his RX3 for quite a long time. That is now being sold. The Turbo 400 is still available. It is a stock GM case Turbo 400, and that was probably fine to hold, you know, that maybe 1,000 odd horsepower that the engine had, but he wants to step it up. So we've got an ATI super case built Turbo 400 on the way, and that'll be plenty strong enough to hold everything that this Billet 20B can throw at it. Alright, so I'll turn this camera around and we'll go through what's involved in this build. Okay, so being a new engine, it's got all the new parts. We start off with a X40 20B crank from Precision Engineering. We've got Series 4 turbo rotors in this. Now they're tip clearanced, side clearanced and face clearanced. Deep groove bearings in them. New stationary gears, front, rear, and new 20B center gear. New oil pump wheel, oil pump chain. Oil rings, springs. Now it'll be all Mazda springs as standard, everyone uses. Power seals, side seals. Mazda springs. We've got our power seals, corner seals springs. We run Pro Seals Apex seals, 2mm, the boosted, good for the street, good for the 85. Can lean on them pretty hard. I've got Apex seal springs, keyways, front nut, rear nut, oil pump drive, crank angle sensor drive, bearings, shim, thrust, end float spacer, counterweight, front and rear. Now this one being Series 4 turbo rotors, and they've been machined. Obviously the assembly's balanced. It needed a bit of weight in the front and the rear. So this has all been clearanced up already and is pretty much ready to assemble. I'll set the camera down and we'll go through this build. As per normal, being a billet engine, we'll use Billet Boss plates and the Billet Boss studs. It's a combination that we find we have a lot of success with. So let's get to building these rotors. Now before I start assembling the rotors, one thing I want to check is any rotor that has been machined, whether it's been turned in the lathe or has been ground, you're always going to have a small burr. So I want to check that we don't have any burrs, and that this tool goes in like the same way you want your girlfriend, nice and tight. So we know we don't have any burrs in there now. We'll find that we've got a much freer, but no wobble, but we're free on the corner seal. Okay, so that's one side of our rotors done. I'll flip these over and repeat. I won't bore you with that happening. Alright, so these rotors are now complete. We'll get to assembling the block and get the engine together. That way we can get it back in the car, or get it in the car, and yeah, we'll get it run up on the dyno. You can put some Ks on it and then we'll start pushing it. Okay, so the rotors for Sam's 20B are all put together. We'll start building the block now. I'll give a little explanation. We're using a Billet Boss plates. We've used them for quite a while now. Repeatability, quality, is while we use them, and the fact they're a kilometre up the road makes it very, very easy, makes delivery and pickup very, very simple, and 0 delays. So I'll turn the camera around, we'll just go over these. So the Billet boss plates are a 7075 aluminium, which basically means it is a very high tough grade of aluminium. They run a replaceable insert, so heaven forbid you have a bit of a fuck up and you do damage a surface, it's as simple as unbolting and replacing. So that's a good thing about them. There is a lot of water cooling behind the insert, so that makes it quite simple to keep temperature under control. There's people often ask, does a billet plate or a billet engine run hotter? The answer no. To the physical touch, the surface temperature might be hotter. However, your water temperature won't be, because the aluminium does dissipate the heat a lot more efficiently than what cast iron does. With the water going through here and an adequate cooling system, temperature's definitely not something you need to be concerned about. So as I said, removable wear plate. Now what you'll get when you do purchase, if you were to purchase plates from us or from Billet Boss or one of the other resellers, the insert will be fitted, but it's not a proper fitment. It's literally in there for packaging. What you'll find is you'll get a small packet of O-rings and screws, and they are as such. Now that's for you to go over and make sure everything is clean, flat, there's no debris, and your O-rings have been put in correctly. They haven't jumped up and then someone's put an insert down. It's imperative that this surface is clean, your O-rings are installed, and the wear plate bolts down square. If it isn't bolted down square, it will give an abundance of issues which you should pick up. Hence, when you turn the engine, there'll be a tight spot, multiple tight spots. If you decide to run the engine, you will tear some shit up. So anyone who's thinking about building one or purchasing one, just a couple little pointers on what you need to do. Alright, so you'll get a small O-ring and a large O-ring. Small O-ring is for the port. I just put a bit of rubber grease in to hold the O-ring in place. You definitely don't want to put super glue or anything like that to hold the O-ring in place. And then the larger O-ring is for around the gear. Same deal, just a bit of rubber grease to hold it in whilst we bolt the wear plate down. Try to clean up as much of the excess as you can. Anything that is spilt over into the water area, it's not the end of the world, but it will end up in your radiator. And the less shit you end up with in your radiator, the better the radiator is going to work. Now the wear plates are directional as well. There'll be a front side and a back side, purely determined by the port and the machine cutout. Now these are almost a size for size fit. So you don't want to force it in. It will go in quite snugly as long as it's square. The bolts that hold them in are only small, So you definitely don't want to put any ugger-duggers when doing these up. They realistically just need to be locked into position. The way the head of the screw is designed, it actually locks once it's tight. So you just want to make sure that they're in snug. So we'll go around, just nip each one in a cross directional pattern before we start clamping them down for good. So with the insert bolted down now, we'll flip it over, we'll bolt the center gear in, flip it back over, and then we can start the stack. Now before we can put the gear in, we want to make sure this is all clean, obviously, and we need to install a location pin. Thing to note, 20B center gear pin is shorter than the front or rear gear pin. If you don't have a 20B gear pin, not the end of the world, you can just turn them down. They're quite hard, but if you have a lathe, you can turn that down. Alright, now this is, we're ready to stack the front side. One thing you want to do, if you don't have the original 20B bolts, make sure you use a half head. If you use a full size head on a hex head or a cap screw, the height is too tall, and when your front lobe goes on, it can bottom out. It'll affect your end float. It won't lock up on the taper. The key's not what locks the lobe in position. That's just a guide to have it timed right. We lap the taper on the crank and inside to the inside of the lobe, so that we know that we drop that on. We want to make sure that's tight, dry. Drop that on. It won't need a lot of force. You literally give it a tap on, and then that's locked. By the time we lock the front nut up and the rear nut, it's not going anywhere. Okay, so there's Sam's Billet 20B all done. As you can see, it was Billet Boss plates, bridge ported, Series 4 turbo rotors, got a full stud kit, brand new Series 5 housings, Billet X40 crank, 12A turbo timing cover, so it's got everything there. I can take that downstairs now. We'll put on the accessories, sump, water pump, etc. and intake, and we'll get that in the car. Okay, so that'll be the end of this video. If anybody is in the market for a billet engine, whether it be 13B, 20B, quad, 5 rotor, 6 rotor, whatever you want. Anyone who's sort of like thinking of the 3 rotor 20B option, something like this that you've just watched, these retail for 55,000 Australian dollars, and when you can see the amount of new parts and the work that goes into them, they're quite a cheap engine, or they're for the money, they're very good value. Alright, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that sort of crap, and I'll see you on the next one.